CNBC-TV18 Hindustan Unilever Limited present Lime Season 15.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is such an absolute privilege and pleasure to be back here at the HUL campus for this latest edition of Lessons in Marketing Excellence. I was just telling Rohit on our way up here that I think I've been part of pretty much all 15 limes that have taken place. So it really is wonderful to see the energy and be back here in this room. Rohit, thanks once again for joining us here for this edition of Lessons in Marketing Excellence. Before I talk to you about the future of HUL, I want to go back in time. So rewind a little bit of a flashback. Rohit and I were part of St. Stephen's College, so we share a college, and you went to FMS in Delhi as well. So Rohit, as you look at these bright young students here who are looking at starting their careers, making a mark in the world, I want you to go back to the time that you were in college at St. Stephen's and then FMS. What was the big aspiration? What was the big dream then?
Excellent place to start, actually, because I was thinking 35 years ago, a moment like similar to yours, what was I doing, what was I thinking? And when I joined my MBA course and I went through various cross functions, I fell in love with marketing. And I used to revel at all of the consumer behavior cases, the unique selling proposition of Rosser Reeves, the beautiful Volkswagen ads, and I always wanted to work in a marketing company. And no doubt, in '88, Hindustan Unilever, then Hindustan Unilever now, was the best marketing company, and it was my dream, which was my dream to join, and I did. Went through my training days, and fast forward to today, I came back 20 years later with having gone across Asia and across the Unilever global world to come back to find that Hindustan Unilever still is the best marketing company, and that shows a lot of mettle, a lot of fundamental strength, and an amazing pride in brands and marketing. So, yeah, I feel very excited to be here in lime. It's fresh lime for me.
With a little bit of salt and sugar.
Yeah, indeed.
Well, Rohit, let's talk about the road ahead and the way forward. As Mugdha just said, it's a 90-year legacy that you take forward, and so much has changed, not just at HUL, but around HUL as well, specifically the Indian economy, with the kind of reforms that we've seen over the past 3 decades, and where we currently find ourselves. What does the HUL of tomorrow signify to you? What does the HUL of tomorrow mean to you in terms of growth engines that will drive it?
Yeah, I think, I've been reflecting deeply in the last 7-8 months that I've been in this role and really understand now the business intimately. I've been around the country. I've observed India. I've met our customers, our consumers in various parts. And having seen other markets in my last 2 decades, especially Southeast Asia and North Asia, like China, I can tell you that the India is where perhaps one of these great tiger economies, or China was 10-15 years ago. We are poised to break through. And we see that, I see that, I smell it in the entrepreneurial energy in the market, I smell it in the consumer's aspiration. And 3 big things that I feel are dramatically transforming India, which we need to recognize as a company who's been here 90 years. Number 1 is India is getting richer, more prosperous. The top mass affluent or middle class and above will have doubled in the last 5 years, will double again from something like 40-odd million to 90-odd million households. We're talking of the size of the US in terms of consuming population. Second big driver of growth is digitization, and we'll talk more about that today.
Yeah.
But it's democratized India. I know ONDC is going to democratize digi-commerce, but the India tech stack has changed in it's unlike any other country in the world, including China. So I think what we're seeing here is pioneering. It is transformational. It's changing how we do business, and it's also changing consumers' aspirations. So whether you're in a village in deep rural east of India or you're in city of Mumbai, you can watch the same sort of media, same aspirations. So that's really creating a lot of demand to upgrade, to aspire. And I think still we've got to recognize that this is a vast country, 1.4 billion people. We have to be responsible towards our communities, towards our environment, and no better company than Hindustan Unilever, because our mission is what's good for India is good for HUL. So we've got to always start from that place. But we've got to keep that in mind, that it has to be positive impact as we grow to a very, very powerful market and an economy in the next decade or so.
Well, let me unpack the mega trends that you just spoke of, Rohit, and let's pick up, this consumption story that you talked about, as well as the ability and the aspiration of the Indian consumer to want to spend. And what we have seen over the last few years across different categories, from FMCG to auto, is this move towards premiumization. It's not new to HUL either. Given the fact that we're now anticipating an even higher jump as far as per capita is concerned, what will that realistically lead to when we talk about premiumization? What will it mean in terms of the kinds of categories that you could explore getting into? What does it mean for category creation itself?
So we have a deep, so let me first start by taking a wider look at where we are today. So we are in India with 1.4 billion, a market per capita consumption of FMCG. Even in the categories we play is only $50 odd. I've used that figure before. If you compare that with Indonesia, that's 4 times as much. China, 6 times as much. So there's a huge runway for growth. And when we looked at each and every category we play in, we clearly see we're about 10 to 15 odd years behind these mega markets. And therefore,
still 10 to 15 years
about
behind.
10, it varies from category to category, plus minus. And this is an approximate figure. But in some categories, the journey could be faster and some slower. But what I'm saying is the next decade, we could be seeing some categories doubling, tripling, quadrupling.
For instance?
I mean, any category you name, for instance, just take, for example, even one category where we've been very much the leaders of market development is home care. And in laundry, we've followed a very clear trajectory of, grow consumers, up the convenience and the quality path, upgrade through formats, build adjacencies, e.g. fabric conditioners, where we started 10 years ago.
Yeah.
We've perfected our market development wheel. We believe in market making. Today, I mean, I remember coming here a decade back, we were in Chennai, and it was a small category, and you'd wonder why would anybody want to use fabric conditioners? It's, it adds on, doubles the cost of wash, and it was in the south and slowly, and fast forward 10 years from now, and I was in a village in 100 kilometers from Calcutta, meeting a Shakti entrepreneur.
Yeah.
She has a shop where she has comfort sachets, and this is a really typical village. There was a small school where I went as well. And she had comfort sachets, and I asked her, what is this doing here? Because, why would anybody want to use it? But she said there are customers who use it for one of needs to soften their clothes, to care for them. So that category is now going deep. So this is the kind of trajectory we will see happening across all categories. And a couple of places I believe this is still happening in a fast pace today when I come back is beauty care and in packaged foods, where I think the pace of transformation will be even more fast. And what we're doing about that is building a portfolio to serve all demand spaces, choosing the segments we want to play in as HUL, where we are good at, where we have right to win, where we can bring Unilever's leverage brands, and investing in capabilities that you need to be a great beauty company and to be a great foods company. So I think that's really what we'll have to do as we evolve from where we are today to the 100th year of Hindustan Unilever.
When you talk about the 100th year of Hindustan Unilever, let's address the beauty aspiration that you just spoke of. And digital beauty brands and that entire aspect. How much of this is largely going to be driven by organic growth? How much of it is going to be driven by inorganic growth? What looks exciting to you at this point in time in terms of the kind of D2C explosion that we are seeing? What will be the sort of laser focus that you intend to go after?
So you see, let's take beauty market and tease that out a little bit. We are the skin care or beauty care market leader, both with colors and in skin care. We have already a 4 times relative market share. And it's a very margin accretive category. It's growing. We've grown over the last decade. It's a good category to be in as is. But as the market evolves, as consumers, and we already know, increase their regime, use more than one stage in usage, the market premiumizes. We start to see new demand spaces that goes beyond brightening, tone management, to anti-aging, to hydration, to sun care, and so on and so forth. And we've seen this journey in other markets. So it's not that it's new to the world or to Unilever. So we know that we have to basically play the full portfolio. And how consumers buy beauty care is also different from there will be some consumers who will buy it more as a their daily routine with our Glow & Lovely brand or with Pond's. But there are many consumers looking to influencers, to social media, to buy it on platforms like Nykaa and other such e-commerce platforms. And they are purely digital, they are about experience. And all of this means there's also relationship, because many consumers will buy a similar brand for over a long period of time, so lifetime value. So this is a very different way of building brands which we are gearing up for. And I think as far as digital brands are concerned, they are digital in the sense they're digital first.
Yes.
Not digital only.
Yes.
They have to go beyond D2C platforms to the marketplaces, and then they have to go to big stores and pharmacy and offline, and we know that game.
Yeah.
We're there. So we have already hacked the playbook, so to speak. We've built through our premium business unit, beauty business unit, a couple of brands that already crossed between the two of them, 100 crore ARR mark, Simple and Love Beauty Planet, to name a couple. We are now taking them to the next, to more e-commerce platforms, to modern trade. And so we really are building a playbook on how we will birth brands digitally when they need to, and then take them across the rest of the channels. Some of our brands, like Lakme, are already very digital. They have a large share of e-commerce, and I think it's one or two brands on a beauty platform like Nykaa, Lakme is, and it's a beautiful brand. It's getting transformed, getting premiumized, and it's really looking cool and very attractive. And we have very, very good innovations there. And that brand is an old brand, but not a dated brand. It is a contemporary, fresh brand that offers the best of beauty at a very, very good price to our consumers. So it's about playing the portfolio in different ways, both in the mass, in the premium, masstige, and including prestige brands that we'll probably bring to the market.
Rohit, you spoke about how you've hacked the back end and the distribution side, and that is a game that you have aced over the years, and that's absolutely clear. But what's been the big lesson and the learning as you now foray into this digital-first space, as you build customers across digital platforms, as you build resilience and relevance across this? What's been the big lesson and the learning, or the unlearning, if I may?
No, I think it's a very important question, and perhaps we can speak to that if time permits, but really the way marketing is done, while the fundamentals are the same, the way marketing is done is really dramatically transformed, and this is an example of how it's transformed. So in the last 2-3 years that we ran the premium business, beauty business unit, we've learned in order for us to test concepts, we have now an agile innovation lab where we are able to scan ideas quickly, use machine AI to build concepts, have them checked, simulated, check where is the highest level of opportunity, craft through our R&D labs, which is, in this complex, small batches, test them out with consumers, find the product, market fit, start then getting consumers, acquiring them, scaling them, get to a level where we feel, okay, now this is being loved, and it's getting repeat rates that meets a scalable next level, and then take that, cross the filter and go to the next level, other e-commerce platforms, and before you know, you have a few hundred crores worth of business. And of course,
if only it were that simple to move from 0 to 100 crores and plus in the way that you just made it sound.
No, so 0 to 1 and 1 to 100, somewhat easier. 100 to 1,000, even more difficult, and 1,000 to 10,000, even more difficult. So I think we know the 100 and above game, and we have now learned and are learning the 0 to 100 game. And indeed, the risk is high. A lot of concepts fail, and therefore not everything. We tried 5-6 things. Only a couple have managed to go outside of this. We have nano factories now, so we can do small batches quite quickly. So we have, through a full ecosystem, including influencers and also the channels that we work with, we've now built, I think, capability. It's more really about driving the engine forward and playing all levers of marketing. So I feel quite excited about it.
CNBC-TV18 Hindustan Unilever Limited present Lime Season 15.
When we talk about technology, we talk about
CNBC-TV18 Hindustan Unilever Limited present Lime Season 15.
when we talk about technology, we talk about AI, digitization, and so on and so forth. Internally, within the organization, where do you believe things currently stand? How much has the needle moved in terms of digital adoption, in terms of AI adoption? And externally, from a customer-facing perspective, what do you believe that that could lead to over the next 5 years, for instance? And, you know, beyond cost optimization, because that's the sort of bread and butter aspect of tech adoption. In terms of innovation, how are you looking at it?
So the way we see digitization is that it's basically got to do one of three things: got to drive growth, reduce cost, or improve our capabilities, right? So at a high level. And we have been on the journey we call Reimagine HUL for several years now. And we see them basically in three different parts. There's the operations or supply chain, where digitization has a big role to play, and I'll give you a couple of proof points. It's in the area of our customer, so how we go to market. Shikhar, an example, which is our B2B app, and I'll speak to that in a minute. And then, of course, our consumer, which is the question you asked, and I just talked about how we are, for instance, creating products, but also selling products on digital commerce and all of the data signals that we get from there. So we're working across these three broad domains. And, and to give you a few examples to bring this to life, for instance, on supply chain, we have now many use cases that we believe are creating huge value. For instance, we are able to do digital twins of our factories. So sitting in this complex, we can already model how to improve productivity of our plants across the country. We have now AI signals for our demand forecasting. So we don't need human intervention. We can, in fact, they forecast better. We're using that even in our financial. In fact, just a while back before coming here, we're discussing how to do financial forecasts using machine learning and AI. So a whole lot of part of our operations, including enterprise dashboards, are all being done. I would say we're pretty mature in this space. We have, even for safety, we have cameras that stop machines, can only start when you are doing the right thing. So we're deploying many use cases across our operations. Like digital twins in financial processes. So we have many ways in which we are doing that in the enterprise for some time now. So I would say they're pretty proud of what we've achieved there. When it comes to customer, and if you look at our GT business or traditional trade, we have go to 2.6 odd million, 7 million stores, of which 1.3 million, including some in rural areas, have signed up on our app. A million of those order every month. And now we get data signals of all our customers, what they're buying, what they're ordering even when we're not there. So in the, in the evening, they want to order something, if they're running out, and we're able to market to them using AI, we can create customized offers. And we're doing it with a digital selling hub, a control COE that sits here. So, and GT is 70% of our business. So imagine the amount of data that we're collecting and value adds that we can offer our customers in, finance or how to manage their shop better, the budgets, do their books, etc. So there's a lot of opportunity in that too, to create value for our small kirana merchants. And when it comes to consumers, just the process of creating brands, concept testing, all of that is speeding now. As I give you an example in beauty. And on e-commerce, and digital commerce is already the fastest growing channel for us. And we are gaining competitiveness there, and that's going to be clearly a place that we want to lean in on, because that is going to grow. And will more than double what it's today as contribution to our business easily, I believe, in the next 5-10 years. So I would say that, and all of this data, we have a very strong backend around cybersecurity, data governance, making sure that it's protected it's within the legal parameters, which is also equally important. So
Yeah.
it's a holistic program that's going to get stronger and will become and is becoming a competitive moat.
So e-commerce contribution double in the next 5 or 10 years? That's a fairly wide range there.
No, I would say 5 would be a reasonable, would be my hope and ambition. And we're leaning in, we're investing basis that.
You know, speaking of investments and given the focus that you talked about on digitization, what are we talking about? You know, what is the percentage of sales that you are spending at this point in time as far as tech is concerned? And do you believe that that number is going to significantly increase going forward given the needs and the capabilities you spoke of?
I'll give you an example of and a shape of our biggest investment pot after raw materials, which is our A&P or BMI, we call it. I think the digital, we invested close to almost a third, more than a third on our digital media, and that's going to go up even further because, you know, consumers are spending more time in digital, so clearly we have to, and that does mean that we have more data, we can target better, and our media spends can become even more efficient, and we are investing behind leadership and capability, even on the top team, to make sure that our entire advertising and marketing investment is highly optimized through data.
You know, the HUL visits, on-ground visits have been legendary, the stuff that we've, you know, grown up listening to stories about. But given the fact that there's so much now that's happening online and so much that's happening digitally, do you trawl like digital marketplaces as well to understand what the consumer is doing, how the consumer is buying, what's working? How much time do you spend online?
So, well, to just give you a live example, which is almost this week, I was in Bangalore to meet our leading customers, e-commerce customers, and before I even reached there, we were doing store visits, meaning on the app, with our e-commerce head, and randomly checking whether we were appearing in the top search pages, whether, you know, our content was the most compelling compared to our competition, and that was a modern way of visiting. You know, this was in a coffee shop. And right in the afternoon, I was walking the modern trade stores in Bangalore and checking on how beautiful our shelves look, whether the shopper could see our category management at play. So it's omni-channel now, and indeed that's the reality of this market, that you got to be excellent at all touch points.
Rohit Jawa, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very, very much for joining us here at Lessons in Marketing Excellence Season 15. Appreciate your time, and we wish you the very best of luck as you build out HUL for the future. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause.
Thank you,
for
Shereen.
Rohit Jawa.
Thank you.
CNBC-TV18 Hindustan Unilever Limited present Lime Season 15.